Everyone wants to leave a legacy of positivity in the world around them. Whether you are a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, a nonprofit executive director, or even a soon-to-be entrepreneur, one fact is always true. The easiest and most effective way to catalyze change in the world around you is through commerce and through business. But how do you do it? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Changemakers Collective, a place where people can come and get educated and encouraged and empowered to be the impact agent in the world around them. Brought to you by Silverback Ventures, Steff Thomas and Scott Woods have over 50 years combined experience helping companies and owners amplify the voice and multiply the impact of purpose-driven businesses. Join us each week as we discuss what it means to live a life of purpose on purpose.
Welcome to Wind Down Wednesday on the Changemakers Collective. I'm Steff from Silverback Ventures, and this is
Kristen Stegall from Novice Studios,
who is our
podcast producer
and is awesome.
Thank you.
So seriously, if you like us, make sure to subscribe to our page, hit like, send the link to your friend. We love to hear back from you. Email us, love us, give us some love, and we'll give you some love too. So,
yay!
Welcome back. We
Thank
did
you.
Wind Down Wednesday before.
And people loved it.
People loved it. We are real women that have real stuff that happens in the workplace.
We sure are.
I love it. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about like a struggle.
I mean, where do you want me to start?
Well, you had an interesting situation, right? So
yes.
So we talk about invisible labor issues that women may have, right? So that may be childcare. You just had that happen.
Yes, our son's daycare flooded unexpectedly, so it was closed for 4 out of 5 of the work days of that particular week, and we don't have family nearby or somebody who could come in and watch him. We were able to secure a babysitter for one of those 4 days, but the other days it was my husband and I tag teaming. And it was a miracle that we made it through, but we did make it through. It did mean that work had to get pushed to the following week. And so that was a little bit stressful. And so it feels like I've kind of been in catch-up mode since then. And so you and I were kind of talking about how do you take back control when it feels like things are super out of control. We can't control if a disaster happens at our childcare facility. Right. And luckily nobody was hurt and everything was fine. But, and they reopened the following week, which was great. But then it was just like catch up, and it kind of felt like you were sprinting on a treadmill and it just kept getting faster and faster instead of slowing down. But I feel like we finally kind of leveled out a little bit. But still things are moving fast.
Kristen, that could have easily been a 3 to 6 week problem.
Yeah.
I mean, elderly care, people still get COVID or the flu. And, when you are a solopreneur or you are a entrepreneur who have client responsibilities and payroll responsibilities, the work stress is one type of stress, but the other is just, getting it all done. And what does that look like? And like you said, how do I catch up? So what went through your mind last week?
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
When all of that happened? Because when I talked to you, you were a mess.
Yeah. I think, so that first day I had I didn't. So I have structured my schedule so that I have A weeks and B weeks. On the B weeks, I'm recording in the studio with clients. So that's when I try to really jam pack my schedule with shoots. And then A weeks are at home. I'm doing client facing work still, but it is, like sit down, quiet time to sit down and work on my computer. On this particular week where the school closed, it was a B week. So I had shoots almost every single day. And so luckily my husband has a pretty flexible schedule, and he is somebody who's like, if my toddler is on the call with us, then he is on the call with us. Send over an NDA if you need to for him to sign. But like he's there, and this is the situation, and my family comes first. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful that his team understands that too. And to the best of our ability, I took him for the morning part of the day before my shoot in the afternoon so that he was able to get work done during that time. Wednesday, we were able to have childcare. And then Thursday, same thing. I took most of the day so he could be in calls and meetings. But then he actually has access to my Google Calendar. So he said, okay, I see you have one call at 2:00. I'll cancel my 2:00 so that you're covered for that time. And then after that, if you can take him, that'd be great. So it was just communication and being aware of each other's schedules and understanding like, okay, which is the bigger priority, not whose job is more important, but which calls are the biggest priority that we need to make sure we have, or like if this shoot doesn't happen, we don't have content for our clients. So that has to happen. And so I really appreciate that he was able to step in and help me. And then he just took Friday off completely and stayed home with our son, and they had a fun day together.
They had a dad and son day.
Yes. Yes.
Das day. Okay, so elder care is another thing. So my sister, who is not elder care, but she and her husband, he had a surgery, and she was like, hey, I really need help, and, can you help? You work from home, da-da-da. I said, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. So Scott, who is, smart, he's a smart man, was like, I can hear him laughing in the background, was like, hey, you're not going to get any work done. And I was like, but I am. I think having a process in place, you were talking about the calendar. I made sure that Scott kind of knew what was on my calendar. Scott being Silverback Ventures co-owner, and, just my business partner knew what was going on. My husband had everything locked down at home. My kids are older, so they didn't need me. So my level of being out of the day-to-day forward-facing looks very different than someone with a small kid, right?
Yeah.
So elder care looked different to me. Not really elder care if my sister's watching, because they're not old, but looks very different than, I could just be like, shh, I'm having a meeting, and everybody is quiet. That doesn't look the same for you in your house.
Right.
What stress level does that take you to?
Oh my gosh. It was crazy. And we were also at the same time dropping nap schedules. And so there wasn't that baked in, like, okay, I know we've got this 3-hour block of time that I can buckle down. That was gone. And so it was just like, the thing is, like, when I knew I had that block of time and I'm like, this is the only block of time I had, I was so stressed out. I couldn't focus on the work that I needed to get done in that block of time. And so that's where I feel like I tend to kind of retreat inward instead of being like, hey, I had the situation come up with my son this week. I'm not able to, hit XYZ deadline. Instead, I would just like push myself really hard. And I told my husband, if I didn't have Kaylin on the team on that particular week, that would have been a completely different story. If I was still doing all of the client-facing work and making sure all the podcasts were going out, that would have been a much, much more stressful week. I was just focused on the launches that we had going on, the client meetings that we were focused on. And even that felt stressful because my capacity to handle everything went down with having a tornado running around our house.
You said something important, and you said a lot of things important. However, something that stuck with me. I don't know, just because of how I am created, I don't know if I would have had it in me to tell it. I mean, no one knew that I was out of town, right? I mean, like, you and I were talking a while ago, and I was like, oh yeah, I wasn't here last week. I was somewhere else. I don't know my why behind it, but I probably wouldn't tell people that I had all of that going on in the background, simply because my fear would be that someone would think I was dropping the ball, I wasn't giving my client enough attention. That would be on top of trying to get everything done. I would have the overlay of, and I hope no one finds out.
Yeah.
So I'm working late, working early, working in between times just to get it all done.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. And sometimes I struggle with that too, of, okay, which feelings can I share with clients, or which life situations can I share with clients and which ones can I not? And I think because clients are coming to me, not even to me directly, but they're coming on the podcast, they're sharing these personal stories about their life experiences. And I feel it's part of my job to make them feel comfortable and safe sharing those experiences when I'm literally standing in the room with them. There's a sense of anonymity, I think, when they talk about it and then it gets recorded and published and they know it's out there and they know people are listening to it, but they're not having to look them in the eyes while they're saying it. They have to look me in the eyes kind of when they're saying it. And so I feel like that kind of gives me permission to say, hey, I've got this life thing going on, so I'm showing up differently this week. Just like they might say to me, I'm having a rough week, so I know we have the shoot this week. Could we either table it or, is there a way that we could reschedule or can we do a replay episode? And I'm willing to work with them on that because what they are bringing into the recording studio with them really does impact the final product.
Kristen, what did you learn from the experience? I mean, because life happens, right? I mean, I'm the first one to say, okay, Kristen, life happens. What's your plan?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So we had been in the process of looking for a babysitter. Just to have for date nights so we can get out of the house. That's something that
because self-care is important.
Self-care is so important, and you need, a reminder that you and your spouse like each other, and it's not just you two versus this feral creature that lives in your house.
She does love her son.
I love him so much. He's hilarious. He's just built different, and we're also learning how to actually parent a child. Like, we're past the stage of just keeping him alive. That's like the first 2 years, I feel like. Now we're in the actually teaching you how to be a good person and listen and all those things.
While the child is learning how to be independent.
Yes.
And, right. So a lot of things are happening.
Yes. So we have two stubborn parents that are both very independent and like their alone time with this very social, extroverted, very independent child. And so he's teaching us things about ourselves too, but we're learning each other's parenting styles and all that. But anyways, we had started building this roster of babysitters. We just hadn't bit the bullet and had anybody come to the house yet. And that morning I was like, hey, what you doing this week? Are you available to do blah, 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 blah? And I think that was just, it was a reminder to me that we need to have some of those contacts and know who our village is. And a lot of our friends are also working parents or they're stay-at-home parents. So they already have a kid at home. We didn't want to burden anybody. And I think it's just, again, in those seasons of making sure that you have those relationships built before you, quote unquote, need them. But
what about your work processes?
Yeah.
I just saw your whole face change. Oh, that's hilarious. I hope that's captured on camera.
I think, like I said, if Kaylin wasn't already trained.
Is a employee that is a part of Novice Studios who is specializes in her own special things. I mean, she's a great addition to your team. Agreed.
And because we had already done if I was still training Kaylin and there weren't things that she was comfortable doing on her own and wasn't already in communication with clients and stuff, I think that could have been stressful. So I was glad that I had that support for when things do happen. And both of us are cross-trained on, where all the bodies are buried, so to speak, in our client processes. And so having her support made it possible for me to get through that week and be able to take those hours off that I needed to just be present with Jack. So I'm glad that we had that I had her. And as far as our work processes, I think that I definitely tend to agree to tighter timelines than is feasible.
Did it help you with your trust level with your team?
Yes, definitely.
Do they need you every minute of every day to micromanage?
No.
Oh,
no,
great.
No.
That's good.
And what I appreciate about Kaylin is that she'll tell me, okay, I'm not super comfortable with this part of the deliverable. So I would still appreciate if you put eyes on this before I send it to the client. And so I appreciate her telling me where she wants me to give her that extra input. And then it's up to me to make sure I'm reassuring her, okay, here are the things that I would tweak. Here's how you'll know if you're doing a good job or not. Here's what I'm seeing on my side of things and what I'm going to tell you. And I'll be honest with you if I think something needs changing, but just making sure that I'm building up her confidence too. So she could be like, okay, you know what? I've got this. You don't need to worry about it.
So Kristen, because these are real things, right?
Mm-hmm.
As much as we, as women, do not want to be in a stereotype, we work really hard with our spouses to just make sure that, everybody gets the same respect, right? But the truth is, baby duty ends up being a responsibility. I mean, we have our own lanes that we swim in. When you and I were talking about how to onboard Kaylin, how to have a reset with the rest of your team, we talked a little bit about, okay, how do you get the best out of your team? And some of those were, how do you get feedback? How do you feel about feedback? Here's how I receive feedback. Did you see some of that come into play over the last couple of weeks?
Yes, definitely. And there were some things that we had talked about, like making sure that the tone comes off, and kind of learning each other's communication styles. And I'm learning to be more direct because clear is kind. But also making sure that I'm sharing what she's doing well. Because again, if I'm only telling her what she's ever doing wrong, how does she know what doesn't need improvement and what she's doing a great job at? Because again, my job is to build up her confidence so that she feels like she doesn't need me as much, but also so that she knows, okay, hey, I need your help with this thing. And she knows that she can call on me and I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, I thought I told you this already. And blah, 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 blah.
I'm sending you a loom.
Because I don't feel that way. Yeah, because I don't feel that way at all. And so, and I still enjoy that collaborative piece of the process. So I appreciate that she still pulls me in when she needs me.
If you could reset anything that you did the week that sweet baby boy was at home, what would you tell people? Like, okay, you're a solopreneur who has huge responsibilities and a quick emergency, which was not an emergency of your household, but it was an external emergency that affected your household. What would you tell another entrepreneur, solopreneur, like, here's what you need to know?
Number one, I think the stronger your communication systems are with your clients and your team, the better. I didn't even tell, I don't even know at what point I told Kaylin. I feel like I might have told Kaylin immediately, but I can't remember. But I don't even think I told the team like, hey, I'm out. Now that I'm thinking about it, I was like, I don't even know that I felt like I needed to, because I knew that they would reach out to me if they needed something. I would reach out to them if I had a question about something or needed something. But I think it was our team call this week. I was like, oh yeah, and Jack's school closed. And they were like, what? Jack's school's closed for a week? And I was like, yeah.
Okay, but it's funny because you and I spoke the day of.
Yeah.
Right? And we just talked through here's some plans. Right? So that is pretty cool. The team felt as much love, and really, I feel like Kaylin's behind the camera. Can we get a nod? Yes. They didn't feel like you were out of pocket, unreachable. They were, but had you been out of pocket and unreachable, I've heard you say a few times, I mean, they had it. Like, they had it. So it has to be exciting to know, first of all, as your company goes, there was not a step that was missed. As your team goes, they were comfortable. They felt comfortable. All things went well. When you started the conversation, though, you're like, I'm still catching up. What does stabilizing, resetting, and getting back control of your day-to-day look like now that the emergency has passed?
So now that it's passed, it was funny because Steff is huge on time blocking, and that Sunday before the school closed, I had sat down on Sunday during nap time and I planned out my whole week and
so proud of you.
What I was going to get done during each time block. And then school was closed and I took those time blocks and I sent them on their merry way because it wasn't going to happen.
You were like, I spent all this time doing this stuff, and let me tell you. Actually, I think that's why we started talking.
Yes. And so I think that's part of maybe kind of what stressed me out, but also what I knew I needed to push back was because I had set down, okay, here are the priorities for the week. Here's what needs to get done. And part of that was marketing for my own company. And I'm sure everybody is feeling it this summer, but there's, I think a lot of small businesses are struggling. And so invoices are getting paid later and later, and that's impacting my cash flow, which stresses me out as a business owner. And the thing that I can do, I can't show up at a client's house and say, pay me. I mean, I suppose I could, but as
maybe
a non-confrontational.
Let's not do that.
Let's definitely not do that. But what I can do is go out and find more clients and secure some engagements for podcast launches and our media makeover service, where we work with people who already have a podcast and we revamp it. It's one of my favorite services that we offer. And I could be talking about that more, and I could be sharing that with people more, and I could be following up with people we've had discovery calls with that, haven't said yes or no one way or the other. And so those are all things that are in my control. And when I am feeling like, okay, well, these client activities got pushed, so I need to make sure I prioritize those, I still do the client work first and leave the marketing stuff for later. But I'm trying to implement that more. And also what I've started doing is just saying that out loud to Kaylin. Even if there's not a task to delegate yet, I can at least get her input on, well, we could do this, or maybe you could try that. Or we've also started talking about like maybe doing some time tracking so we can see if there's room in her workload for her to do some more internal Novice Studios marketing and sales activities. But again, just like saying it out loud, getting it out of my brain just helps me to, one, hold me accountable, and two, give my team an opportunity to share how they might be able to help.
And I love that when you are planning ahead, then you can pivot really quickly when an emergency happens. So an emergency is going to happen in all cases.
Yep.
Kristen, I so appreciate Wind Down Wednesdays.
These are fun.
I love it.
These are so fun.
And to be able to just have a conversation about real life. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget Silverback Ventures and
Novice Studios.
Make sure to like us, love us, share us. And
we
we'll
hope
see
you
next
love
time.
us. We love you.
Thank you for listening to the Changemakers Collective. If you've enjoyed this episode, please help us grow our community by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or rating us on Spotify.
You can also find our podcast on YouTube, so you can come and leave us a comment over there as well. If you want support growing your business and scaling your vision, visit us at silverbackventures.org or connect with us on LinkedIn.
Thanks again, and we'll see you on our next episode.